Nepal faction of Nepal Communist Party has rejected the offer made by the Election Commission to sit for a joint discussion to settle the party's ownership debate. The faction has cited the non-availability of the chairman duo Dahal and Nepal in Kathmandu Valley as the reason for rejecting the Commission's directive. However, the Dahal Nepal faction's refusal for the meeting has not gone down well with political analysts who assume that the Prime Minister perhaps has an upper hand in the ownership battle. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the headlines of the hour. The ownership debate of the Nepal Communist Party casts doubt on the future of the ruling party. Conflict also likely to defer the proposed April and May elections this year. First phase of vaccine rollout continues. Government uncertain about procuring second phase of vaccines despite claims to vaccinate every citizen in 3 months. France announces new border restrictions to tackle coronavirus spread as infections remain high. New rule to affect the United Kingdom. And armed police force and Tribhuvan army to face off in the finals of Prime Minister's Cup one-day National Cricket Championship today. Exciting final on the cards. The ownership debate of Nepal Communist Party has not only cast doubt on the future of the ruling party, but the conflict is also likely to defer the proposed elections in April and May this year. The Oli faction seems to have embraced the upcoming elections wholeheartedly, while the Dahal Nepal faction is still working out strategy to revive the dissolved house. The debate has also hampered the Election Commission's plans of unveiling election schedule.
The Election Commission on Thursday had corresponded with both the factions of the Nepal Communist Party, calling them to send a 5-member expert team to hold a discussion on the issue of party registration and election preparations. However, the Dahal Nepal faction, despite arriving at the Commission premises, rejected to sit in the discussion, citing that both the chairmen were out of Kathmandu Valley. The Dahal Nepal faction is still working on tabling its claim for party ownership as per the Clause 44 of Act on Political Parties, riding on the faction's majority in most of the party committees. This group has seemingly reached a mindset of not going into the proposed election at any cost. The leaders from the Oli faction that participated in the discussion urged the Commission to move ahead with the process of party registration. However, confusion still looms large. As per the past precedents, it could require at least 120 days for the Election Commission to get ready for the midterm elections. However, there are now barely 90 days remaining for the scheduled April-May elections. With the government move of dissolving the House being challenged at the Supreme Court, the Election Commission is yet to kick off a full-fledged election campaign, while the ownership battle is also likely to derail the scheduled elections.
Now, the government began vaccinating frontline health workers, security personnel and sanitation staff for coronavirus since Wednesday. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has also declared of vaccinating every citizen within 3 months' time. However, the vaccine drive in the country is likely to come to a grinding halt as only 1 million vaccines have arrived from India so far, and authorities are yet to make a concrete decision regarding the procurement process and the countries from where the required volume of vaccines will be procured. Since Wednesday, at least 46,197 frontline workers have been given the coronavirus vaccines. The 1 million vaccines that arrived from India is sufficient to vaccinate up to 700,000 individuals. Premier Oli, at the beginning of vaccine inoculation program, declared that the government would vaccinate the entire population in the country within 3 months, assuring the countrymen of the continuity of the vaccination program. However, the country has so far lacked proper plans and preparations. Officials at the Health Ministry are unaware regarding the next phase of the vaccine rollout in the country. The Minister of Health and Population, Hridayesh Tripathi, meanwhile, has been claiming of undertaking necessary diplomatic initiative to acquire vaccines. According to the government policy, only those vaccines that have been approved through 3 stages of clinical trials and are being used in at least 2 countries can be procured. The initiatives required to obtain vaccines are lacking, while the countries that were sent diplomatic notes have yet to respond. Private sector too has shown reluctance in the procurement given the government's indecisiveness. Now, health experts have pointed out that the availability of the vaccines should be ensured to secure the government's plan to vaccinate at least 21 million of the total population. Now, in our Public Voice segment, we had asked people in Kathmandu Valley, have the dreams of martyrs been realized? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
देश बनाउन् सबैले खाना लाउन पाउन् हैन कोही भोको नबसोस् भनेर गरेका हुन् तर के गर्ने ठिक्कै विपरीत भयो के अब अहिले भन्ने शब्दै छैन
ती सब यिनीहरू हाम्रै लागि मात्रै आएका हुन् यी शहीद होइनन् जस्तो गरे के शहीद त मरेर जाने मात्रै भए तिनको काम तिनले गर्न खोजेको कुराहरुको औचित्य तिनले दिएको योगदानको कदर गर्न जानेनन् हाम्रो देशका नेताहरूले
जनताले सुख पाओस् भनेर खोजेको थियो उहाँले त्यो भएन
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, why have the grievances of the residents in the southern border areas remained intact? Your options are A, lack of diplomatic initiatives, B, lack of seriousness, and C, complicated issue. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the sports update. Armed Police Force and Trivan Army will face off in the finals of the Prime Minister's Cup One-Day National Cricket Championship today. The final at the TU Cricket Ground is slated to kick off in a short while. This is going to be the second encounter between the two teams in the ongoing championship. In the group match, APF had registered a thrilling 6 runs victory over Trivan Army. This was the only match that Trivan Army lost, while APF has remained undefeated on their way to the final. In the pre-match conference yesterday, both the skippers expressed their confidence that it would be an exciting contest. Meanwhile, Trivan Army are playing their 4th consecutive final of the Prime Minister's Cup. The Armymen had shared the titles with Nepal Police in the first edition of the championship. The second edition of the championship was pocketed by APF, while Police Club had won the championship last year. Trivan Army skipper Binod Bhandari, while expressing the confidence to clinch the final, said that the team's balance was affected to some extent due to the unavailability of Sompal Kami, Karan Kisi and Kushal Malla, who are currently away playing the T10 League in Abu Dhabi. The other skipper, Sharad Veswakar of APF, was also positive about the team's prospect of the title triumph. It's time now for our special segment, Media Watch.
The vaccination program against COVID-19 kicked off across the country from Wednesday. The program began by vaccinating listed forefront workers from 17 different places in the federal capital, 62 hospitals, and over 120 vaccination centers across the country. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli inaugurated the vaccination program virtually on Wednesday. According to the Department of Health Services, 12 hospitals in Kathmandu, 3 in Lalitpur, and 2 in Bhaktapur have vaccination centers. Likewise, 62 hospitals and over 120 vaccination centers will vaccinate forefront health workers, security personnel, among others. 1 million units of Covishield vaccines were brought to Nepal under the Indian Assistance Program on 21st of January. Under the first round of the vaccination program, 430,000 individuals will be vaccinated within 10 days. While inaugurating the coronavirus vaccination campaign on Wednesday, Premier Oli expressed his commitment to provide free vaccines to all the citizens on a priority basis. The Supreme Court asked Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on Thursday to file a written clarification in the contempt of court case within 7 days. A single bench of Justice Manoj Kumar Sharma issued the order in a contempt of court case filed against the Prime Minister. Law practitioners had filed a contempt of court case at the Supreme Court against Prime Minister Oli on Monday, charging him of indecent remarks aimed at legal practitioners with the intention of influencing a sub judice case. Likewise, the bench also ordered former Chief Justices Meen Bahadur Raimajee, Anup Raj Sharma, Kalyan Shrestha and Susila Karki to submit a written clarification in a similar contempt of court case. Meanwhile, the bench also ordered former Speaker Damannath Dungana to submit a written clarification in another contempt of court case. Separate cases of contempt of court were also filed against former Chief Justices and former Speaker, alleging that their comments on the case being heard were indecent. The 10-member Nepalese mountaineering team that set a world record of climbing the second highest mountain, Mount Ketu in Pakistan, for the first time during winter, arrived at the Tribhuvan International Airport on Tuesday to a hero's welcome. Representatives of some 43 organizations greeted the team at the airport, and the team was taken for a parade around the city. The climbers were also felicitated by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli at his official residence in Balwatar. This is Abhyuday Shrestha for Media Watch and Kantipur News Desk.
That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day ahead.